Imagine a mountain, not of rock or ice, but of garbage. A huge peak, getting taller than some, really iconic monuments, constantly spewing toxic fumes, and it's directly impacting the health, the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people right now. That's the picture, the really stark picture we're going to unpack today. It's quite a reminder of these urban challenges we see globally. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you share, distill them down, and really try to give you that shortcut to being truly well informed. You've sent over some critical sources on this, and our mission really is to guide you through them, pull out those surprising facts, those aha moments. And hey, before we jump in, if you're looking for more incredible insights like this, you should definitely visit Mind Expansion Daily. Honestly, it's where we get so much great information. We really recommend checking it out. Please take a second to like and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. It helps support their mission of sharing knowledge and, well, ours too.
Yeah, definitely do that. So today, our deep dive takes us to the Gazipur landfill. It's often called, pretty grimly, Delhi's garbage mountain. And it really is a powerful symbol of these urban waste challenges, not just for India, but you see similar issues in cities all over the world. We're going to look at its just monumental scale, try to understand the causes behind the crisis, explore the devastating environmental and, crucially, the health impacts. We'll also touch on the struggles of the communities living right there in its shadow, and finally examine the efforts trying to address this huge escalating problem. We've pulled from a whole stack of articles, research papers, major news reports, environmental studies to try and give you a really comprehensive picture. Okay, let's really set the scene then. When we talk Gazipur, it's not just like a regular dump, right? This is something else entirely, a landmark almost. What's the sheer scale we're talking about? It is genuinely monumental. Yeah. Okay, so this site, it's about 70 acres, started back in 1984. Originally, it was only designed to hold waste up to maybe 20 meters high. 20 meters. Okay. Yeah, today. It towers over 65 meters. That's almost as tall as the Qutub Minar, the historic monument. Wow. And what's really striking is it was supposed to close in 2002. It's way past its capacity. It holds over 14 million metric tons of waste now, and it's still growing by about 10 meters every year.
10 meters a year, that's incredible.
It is, and think about this. Delhi generates something like 11,000 tons of waste every single day. Gazipur takes a huge chunk of that, around 2,300 metric tons, just pouring in daily.
Okay, 10 meters a year. That scale is just mind-boggling. But like you said, it's not just a static pile, is it? We hear about fires, things like that. What are the immediate dangers, the really visible ones?
You're absolutely right. It's far from static. A really striking detail from the research is how volatile it is. It catches fire. There was a major blaze actually just recently, April 22nd, 2024. And what really highlights the urgency, the danger, is that these fires are often fueled by methane.
Right, the gas from the decomposing waste.
Exactly. And methane is a seriously potent greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
We're talking 84 times more effective at trapping heat than CO2 over a 20-year period. Gazipur isn't just Delhi's problem in that sense. It's a global methane hotspot. They've detected 37 major leaks since just 2020. One peak reading in June 2019 hit 360 tons per hour.
Per hour?
Per hour from just one landfill. It's contributing significantly to global warming.
That's incredibly sobering. So the fires aren't random. They're linked to this decomposition and they have climate implications. But it's not just the air, right? What's happening underneath? To the ground, the water nearby.
Well, that naturally leads us to the question of what's seeping down. And the critical thing here is leachate. That's the toxic liquid, basically, that forms as rainwater filters through all that decomposing waste. It's incredibly dangerous because it gets into the groundwater. It contaminates it, makes it unfit for drinking. And it's directly linked to diseases like cholera, typhoid.
Yeah.
Serious stuff. Studies show over half the wells near Gazipur have dangerously high alkalinity, high salt content. These pose severe, long-term health risks to the people who have no choice but to rely on that water.
So beyond the huge numbers, the environmental data, what's it actually like? For someone just trying to live their life next to this thing, what's the immediate day-to-day impact?
Oh, the immediate impact is just profound.
Yeah.
And inescapable. Imagine a constant disgusting stench that just gets into everything. Combine that with swarms of flies so thick they disrupt everything you do. And this leads to a really shocking reality. 70% of nearby residents report respiratory issues. 70%.
70? That's huge.
It is. It's because the air quality is just consistently poor. It's not just, an annoyance. It's a daily assault on their health.
It's genuinely hard to hear those numbers and think about the personal toll.
Okay, so the problem is massive. It's dangerous. Why? What are the root causes? How did it get this bad?
One of the main drivers, and this is absolutely key, is the lack of waste segregation at the source. Just people throwing everything together. In Delhi, something like 70 to 80% of waste reaches the landfills completely unsegregated.
80%.
Yeah, so you have organic waste mixed with plastic, hazardous materials, everything. This mix is basically perfect fuel for methane production. When organic stuff breaks down without oxygen, like deep in a landfill, it churns out methane. Only about 20% of the city's waste gets processed scientifically. The rest, just dumped raw.
That's wild, just dumping it raw like that. So the systems, the infrastructure, they just can't keep up.
Exactly. If you zoom out a bit, the infrastructure is just completely overwhelmed. Take the waste-to-energy plant there at Gazipur. It can only process about 1,300 tons a day.
Which sounds like a lot, but compared to the inflow, it's a tiny fraction of what's coming in. And get this, even from what it does process, about 700 tons of residue goes back to the landfill.
Oh, wow. So it's not even a complete solution for that small fraction.
Not at all. And crucially, there's a real lack of gas capture systems. These are pretty common in developed countries, systems to capture the methane. Without them, the methane just escapes freely. Bad for local air, bad for the global climate.
And Delhi itself is just huge, right? And growing. How does that sheer population pressure play into this?
Oh, absolutely. That naturally makes you ask about urban growth. Delhi has over 22 million people.
Yeah.
So waste generation has just exploded. But finding new places to put it, that's a huge challenge. Efforts to set up new landfill sites face massive resistance. Land is scarce, and communities understandably fight hard against having a new garbage mountain near them.
Yeah, you can't blame them.
No. So plans for alternative sites, like one called Gundagujran, they've stalled because of legal fights and protests. It creates a real bottleneck.
So if new sites are blocked and the current system is overloaded, is it also a policy problem? Are decisions just not being made fast enough?
Yes, policy delays definitely make things worse. The Municipal Corporation of Delhi, the MCD, they keep extending Gazipur's closure deadline. It's now pushed out to 2026.
2026. It was meant to close in 2002.
Exactly. And the reasons they give are often about the slow pace of biomining that's digging up and processing the old waste and, issues with contractors. It just feels like a cycle of delays that keeps the crisis going.
Okay, we've got the scale, the reasons. Let's circle back to the impact, the tangible day-to-day cost. On the environment, sure, but really on the people living right there.
Right, the environmental toll is severe. We talk methane, but that directly fuels Delhi's awful air quality crisis. The city's air quality index is often poor, or very poor, especially when the landfill catches fire. Breathing that air is dangerous. And what's really illuminating and frankly scary is a 2024 study. It classified Gazipur as an elevated temperature landfill.
Elevated temperature, what does that mean?
It means it's hot inside. Not just warm, but hot. Mid-depth temperatures reaching 60, 70 degrees Celsius.
70 degrees, like an oven.
Pretty much. It's like an active self-heating furnace. And this internal heat actually accelerates everything bad. More gas emissions, more leachate production. It makes the problem worse, faster.
That's terrifying. A self-heating toxic mountain. And the water contamination you mentioned, is that getting worse too? How bad is it?
Well, stepping back, you see how it all connects to public health. That groundwater contamination is persistent, it's widespread, it affects about 30% of the local wells. It consistently finds toxic stuff like ammonia, heavy metals. This poisons a vital resource that, many people rely on every single day.
This has got to have just devastating consequences for people's health living nearby. It's way beyond just an environmental issue at this point.
It absolutely is. The human cost it's heartbreaking. Residents living within 5 kilometers, they face a 60% higher risk of respiratory problems. 60% higher.
60%.
And tragically, between 2013 and 2017, they recorded 981 deaths just from acute respiratory infections in that area alone. Kids are especially vulnerable. Studies show half the children in nearby areas suffer from asthma or skin problems. It's not just numbers, it's families, it's children living with compromised health every single day. It really puts the human cost in sharp focus.
I've also heard about the waste pickers, sometimes called rag pickers, who actually work on the landfill. What's their situation like? That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer. And a striking detail from the research really highlights their resilience, but also their extreme vulnerability. There are about 300 to 400 waste pickers working on Gazipur daily. These are people sifting through trash, trying to salvage recyclables just to survive.
Right on the mountain itself.
Right on the slopes. And an incredible 80% of them report chronic health issues because they're constantly exposed to toxins, fumes, everything, usually with no protection. And it got even worse during that brutal 2024 heat wave. Temperatures hit 49 degrees Celsius.
49 degrees on a landfill.
Yeah. It made the landfill basically too hazardous, even for them, these incredibly tough workers. It completely disrupted their livelihoods, pushed many deeper into poverty. They're truly on the front line.
It sounds utterly grim, an impossible situation for these communities, but people
Yeah.
fight back, right? There's always resistance. What do the sources say about how the community is struggling and how the government is or isn't responding?
The community struggles are profound
Yeah.
and deeply personal. Imagine one waste picker mentioned in the sources, Anwar, father of four. He described that April 2024 fire as having a huge impact on his work, toxic fumes, unbearable heat, making it impossible to earn. Or think about communities like Kalyanvis right next door. Residents endure that constant stench, rely on polluted groundwater. 70% of households fetching contaminated water from hand pumps because they have no other choice.
70%.
And the landfill itself is physically dangerous.
Yeah.
Remember that landslide in 2017? It killed 2 people, just collapsed. So yeah, many residents feel completely neglected. Only about 20% say they get regular municipal services. It highlights a real gap.
But they're not just suffering silently, are they? There must be local activism, people demanding change.
Which brings us, to the power of grassroots movements.
Yeah.
And local activism has gained real traction. In 2024, there was a protest where they presented clear evidence of the health impacts, demanding government action. That effort got something like 15,000 social media shares. It really amplified the crisis, put pressure on authorities.
That's significant reach.
It is. And you have community groups, like Chintan Environmental Research, advocating for more inclusive waste management. They really highlight the crucial role of the waste pickers themselves. These folks already recycle about 15% of Delhi's waste. That helps reduce methane, helps manage the problem. They argue these workers should be seen as part of the solution, properly supported, integrated, made safer.
It's powerful seeing that push from the ground up. So what about the official side? What steps are the authorities actually taking? Are they working? Is it making a difference?
Well, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, the MCD, they have started biomining. That's the process of, digging through the old waste, sorting it, reclaiming materials. Across Delhi, they've processed about 11.9 million tons of this old legacy waste since 2019, out of maybe 28 million total.
Okay, so some progress citywide, but what about Gazipur specifically?
That's the problem. Gazipur lags way behind.
Yeah.
Only about 2.25 million tons cleared from that massive pile. They have 25 trommel machines operating those big rotating sieves separating waste.
Right.
They separate stuff for recycling, for fuel, but the sheer volume of new waste arriving every day just slows everything down. It's like trying to empty a bathtub with the tap still running full blast. They did appoint a new contractor in March 2025, hoping to speed things up, but honestly, that 2026 closure target, it still seems very, very unlikely.
So it's slow going, fighting against the tide of new waste. Beyond just digging through the old stuff, are there bigger plans? Broader policies for waste across Delhi?
Yeah, looking at the bigger picture, the government has laid out plans. Back in 2019, there was an initiative to formalize recycling, build compost plants, improve door-to-door collection. And that has led to better collection in maybe 30% of Delhi. So some improvement.
Okay, 30% is something.
It is.
Yeah.
And Prime Minister Modi's Clean India initiative has this goal of turning landfills into green zones eventually. But Gazipur's constant methane leaks, the fires, they really highlight the massive gap between those ambitions and the reality on the ground. Execution is lacking. There are also proposals to divert some waste, maybe 90,000 tons a year, to the Okla landfill and explore other satellite sites. But again, you run into that local opposition problem. It's really tough to find new places.
So Gazipur is clearly an enormous crisis point for Delhi. What does it tell us about challenges elsewhere? Is this unique, or does it echo problems globally?
Oh, what really connects this to the global picture is that Gazipur's crisis, it mirrors landfill challenges in so many developing countries. India alone has something like 3,000 landfills just like it, pumping out hazardous gases. And the frustrating thing is, solutions exist. We know how to deal with this better, like gas capture systems. They're used in, 60% of U.S. landfills? They can cut methane emissions by 40%.
40% is huge.
It's huge, but India lags way behind, mostly due to, funding gaps and policy implementation issues. It really highlights a universal lesson, doesn't it? Unchecked urban growth plus inadequate waste infrastructure equals a ticking time bomb.
Which naturally leads us to ask, What can we actually learn from this? What are the potential paths forward, not just for Delhi, but for any city grappling with this? And maybe to make it even more real for people listening,
Yeah.
who it's actually like to experience a day there thinking about these potential solutions.
Well, a critical point to consider, I think, is the economic potential that's often missed. If you could implement inclusive recycling, really leverage those waste picker networks properly, safely, it could save an estimated $1 billion a year in Delhi alone.
$1 billion from waste.
Yeah, that's not just saving money. It's capital.
Yeah. You could reinvest in better infrastructure, public health, education. You could turn waste from this huge liability into potentially a source of jobs and revenue. And you see cities like Lagos in Nigeria facing really similar problems. It suggests these lessons from Gazipur, the need for community voices, formalizing recycling, scalable processing. They're globally relevant, urgently needed. And to really grasp the reality, imagine starting your day at dawn near the base of Gazipur. The air is thick, that putrid smell. Flies everywhere, trucks rolling in, dumping another 2,300 tons. You'd maybe try to walk up the slopes carefully alongside someone like Anwar, sorting through plastic, breathing toxic fumes, risking injury. Then you might visit Kalyanvis, see families getting that contaminated water from hand pumps, hear children coughing from the smoke, lives just dominated by the landfill. You might see a local clinic, Dr. Kumud Gupta, treating patient after patient for respiratory problems, a constant stream. By noon, maybe you see a protest, activists demanding clean air, basic dignity. Then you end the day near the waste-to-energy plant, seeing it only handle a fraction of the waste, highlighting just how broken the system is. It paints this vivid picture, right? A community that's incredibly resilient, but also desperate for real change. And it underscores how things like proper segregation, gas capture, safe, formalized recycling, how they could genuinely transform those scenes, offer environmental relief, yes, but also restore basic human dignity.
Wow. We've really navigated that towering garbage mountain of Gazipur today, from its just overwhelming scale and the daily dangers to the deep systemic causes and the truly dire human and environmental costs. We've also seen the resilience, the fight from the communities, and the slow, complex response from the government, and how these very local struggles echo around the world. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? What are your thoughts on Gazipur's struggle? It really raises an important question, doesn't it? What global responsibility do we all share in waste challenges like this one? Let us know. Leave us a comment below. Tell us if you agree or disagree with how we've summarized this incredibly complex topic. We genuinely want to know. And hey, if you found this deep dive valuable, if it gave you some insight, please consider supporting us. You can buy us a coffee. The link is right there in the description. Your support really does help us keep doing these explorations. Also, we're really trying to increase our reach worldwide. So please tell us in the comments where you're listening from. We love hearing from you wherever you are.
Yeah, please do. And if you're interested in digging deeper into Delhi's environmental challenges, you might want to look up sources on the Yamuna River pollution. It's another really critical issue. Shares some similar systemic problems with Gazipur, actually.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Gazipur. It's been quite the journey. Until next time, keep digging for knowledge and stay curious.